Welcome back, everyone. Let me ask you something. What if I told you that learning English in 2025 is easier, faster, and smarter than ever before? No more boring textbooks, no more struggling to memorize endless grammar rules, just powerful, proven strategies that actually work. Sounds exciting, right? Well, stick with us, because today we're giving you the ultimate English study plan for 2025.
That's right, Adam. Think about this. 5 years ago, people were still using outdated methods. But in 2025, we have AI-powered tutors, personalized learning apps, and smarter techniques that help you learn faster and more effectively than ever before. The problem is, with so many options out there, a lot of learners feel overwhelmed. How do you know what works and what's just a waste of time?
Great question, Sophia. And that's exactly why we're here today. If you've ever felt stuck in your English learning journey, if you've tried studying for months but still don't feel confident speaking, this episode is for you. Because we're about to break down a step-by-step foolproof plan to help you reach fluency efficiently in 2025. And the best part? It's realistic, it's practical, and it works. So, if you're ready to finally start making real progress in English, let's get started.
All right. Before we even think about creating the perfect study plan, we need to talk about something absolutely crucial: setting the right goals. Because here's the thing, most English learners fail not because they don't study enough, but because they don't know what they're working towards. Think about it. If you don't have a clear destination, how do you know if you're making progress? How do you stay motivated? How do you measure success? The biggest mistake most learners make is saying, "I just want to be fluent." But what does that even mean? Fluency isn't a switch you turn on overnight. It's a journey, and every journey needs clear milestones. So here's my question for you. What is your real goal with English? Are you learning for travel, for your career, for social confidence? Do you want to speak effortlessly in daily conversations? Or maybe you want to pass an exam or give a professional presentation in English? Whatever it is, you need to define it. Because the moment you set a clear goal, your study plan becomes more focused, more effective, and more achievable.
Sophia, you just nailed it. And I love that you said fluency isn't a switch, it's a journey. Because that's exactly why vague goals like "I want to be fluent" just don't work. They're too broad, too undefined, and they don't give you a sense of progress. So here's a trick that successful English learners use. Instead of setting a vague goal, turn it into a SMART goal. That means your goal should be checkmark specific. Be clear about what you want to achieve. Measurable. You should be able to track your progress. Achievable. It should be realistic for your level. Relevant. Make sure it connects to your personal motivation. Time-bound. Set a deadline so you stay committed. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," say, "I want to have a 5-minute conversation with a native speaker in 3 months." Or, if you're learning English for work, instead of saying, "I want to improve my English for my job," say, "I want to confidently introduce myself and discuss my job role in English within 6 weeks." See how much clearer and more powerful that sounds? When you set specific, measurable goals, you instantly feel more motivated because you can actually see your progress. And that's the difference between staying stuck and actually improving.
Exactly, Adam. And let's make this practical for our listeners. If you're listening to this podcast right now, take a moment to set your English learning goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to learn English? What skill do I need to improve the most? What's one small, measurable step I can take in the next 30 days? And don't just think about it. Write it down. Studies show that when you write down your goals, you're 42% more likely to achieve them. So, here's your challenge. By the end of today, write your English learning goal in a SMART format. You can even share it with us in the comments or tell a friend to keep yourself accountable. The moment you do this, you'll have a clear roadmap for success.
That's such a powerful challenge, Sophia. And let me add one more thing. Your goals can evolve. Maybe right now, your goal is to hold a 5-minute conversation, but in 6 months, It might be to give a full presentation in English. And that's okay. The key is to always have a clear next step. So, whether your goal is to speak confidently in daily life, improve your business English, or prepare for an exam, the first step is always the same. Set a clear goal, break it down, and track your progress. Because once you do that, your study plan becomes a lot easier to follow.
All right, let's get into something that can completely change the way you learn English, your daily study routine. Because here's the truth. Learning English isn't just about how many hours you spend studying. It's about how effectively you use that time. A lot of learners believe that if they just study harder, they'll get fluent faster. But the real secret? It's not about studying more, it's about studying smarter. You don't need to lock yourself in a room for 5 hours a day. What you need is a structured, balanced routine that helps you improve all the key skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing, and vocabulary, without overwhelming yourself. The problem is, most learners don't have a plan. They study randomly. One day they focus on grammar, the next day they watch a YouTube video, and then they do nothing for a week. And then they wonder why they're not making progress. If that sounds familiar, don't worry, because today we're going to fix that. By the end of this episode, you'll have a simple but powerful daily English study plan that you can start using immediately to make real progress.
You're so right, Sophia. One of the biggest reasons people struggle is that they don't have a clear structure. They waste time trying to figure out what to study instead of actually learning. That's why today, we're going to break down a simple, effective daily routine that covers everything: listening, speaking, vocabulary, and more. And the best part? It only takes about an hour a day, and you can fit it into your schedule no matter how busy you are. So here's a simple breakdown of what your ideal study day should look like. In the morning, start with listening practice, about 15 minutes. This is something you can do while having breakfast, commuting, or even getting ready for the day. Listening to an English podcast is a fantastic way to train your ears to understand native speakers. Some great ones to check out are BBC Learning English, The English We Speak, or even this podcast. The goal is to expose yourself to natural spoken English every day so your brain starts recognizing patterns and pronunciation. In the afternoon, spend 20 minutes reviewing vocabulary. But here's the key. Don't just memorize random words. Use an app like Anki or Quizlet to review words in context. Learn phrases, not just individual words. For example, instead of memorizing decision, learn make a decision. Instead of just learning success, learn achieve success. This way, when you speak, the words will come out naturally instead of you trying to piece together individual words. In the evening, focus on speaking or writing practice, about 30 minutes. This is where most learners struggle because they don't have speaking partners. But guess what? You don't actually need one to practice speaking. You can do shadowing, listening to a sentence from a native speaker and repeating it immediately. You can record yourself speaking for 1 minute on a simple topic and listen back. And if you prefer writing, keep a short daily journal in English. Even writing just a few sentences about your day will help you think in English and improve your sentence structure. And finally, at night, relax and watch a short English video for 10 minutes. This could be a scene from a TV show, a TED Talk, or a YouTube video. The trick is to first watch with subtitles in English, then try watching without them. This helps improve your listening and comprehension in a natural, stress-free way.
I love this routine, Adam, because it's realistic and doesn't feel like too much. A lot of people feel overwhelmed when they try to study, and that's why they give up. But this plan only takes about an hour, and you're not just sitting with a book all day. You're listening, speaking, watching, and interacting with the language in different ways. And what's even more important is that if you do this consistently, even for just 1 week, you'll start noticing real progress. One of the biggest mindset shifts I always tell learners is this: treat English as a part of your life, not just a subject you study. Listen to English while cooking, think in English while walking, write your to-do list in English. The more you integrate the language into your daily routine, the faster it becomes second nature.
That's such a great point. Fluency isn't about studying harder, it's about making English part of your everyday life. And let's quickly summarize what this study routine looks like so our listeners can start using it today. Morning. Listen to an English podcast, 15 minutes. Afternoon. Review vocabulary using an app like Anki or Quizlet, 20 minutes. Evening. Practice speaking or writing in English, 30 minutes. Night. Watch an English video, 10 minutes. That's it. Just an hour a day, broken into small, manageable chunks. And here's the challenge. Try this for 1 week. Stick to this plan for just 7 days and see how much more confident you feel. I guarantee that even in a short time, you'll start noticing improvements.
Exactly. And remember, the most important thing is consistency. Even if you miss a day, don't quit. Just pick up where you left off. Progress in English isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day and doing something no matter how small. All right. Learning English in 2025 isn't just about textbooks and traditional classes anymore. It's about using the smartest tools available. And that's where AI and technology come in. If you're still relying only on old-school methods, you might be making your learning journey harder than it needs to be. AI has completely changed the way we learn languages. Imagine having a personal English tutor available 24/7, giving you instant corrections, personalized feedback, and even conversation practice. That's exactly what AI-powered tools are doing today. And the question is, are you taking advantage of them? Have you ever practiced English with an AI tutor? If not, today's episode is going to open your eyes to some of the most powerful AI tools that can help you learn smarter, faster, and more effectively. So if you've ever wished for a tutor that's always available, never gets tired, and helps you improve whenever and wherever you want, then keep listening, because this is going to change the way you learn English forever.
You're absolutely right, Sophia. AISE has transformed English learning, and yet, a lot of learners still don't realize how powerful these tools can be. Think about it. Before, if you wanted feedback on your pronunciation, you had to book a class with a teacher. If you wanted corrections on your writing, you had to wait for a tutor to mark it. But now, AI can do all of this instantly. Let's talk about some of the best AI tools out there. One of the biggest game changers is ChatGPT. It's not just for answering questions, it can actually be your conversation partner. You can type a question, get explanations, practice dialogues, and even ask it to correct your grammar in real time. If you've ever wanted to practice English but didn't have a speaking partner, this is a perfect solution. Just type something like, "Let's have a conversation about travel," and it will respond like a real person. You can even ask it to correct your mistakes as you go. Then there's Duolingo AI, which has become way more advanced in 2025. It now offers interactive speaking exercises where AI actually listens to your pronunciation and gives real-time feedback. It's not just about memorizing words anymore, it's about speaking and interacting with the language. And one of my favorites, Elsa Speak. This app focuses completely on pronunciation, helping you sound more like a native speaker. It analyzes your speech, tells you where you need to improve, and helps you fix those tricky English sounds that learners often struggle with. It's like having a speech coach in your pocket.
Those are some incredible tools, Adam. And let's not forget about writing skills. A lot of learners focus on speaking and listening, but forget that writing is just as important, especially for work, emails, and professional communication. That's where Grammarly comes in. This AI-powered tool corrects not just spelling mistakes, but also grammar, punctuation, and even sentence structure. It can even suggest more natural ways to phrase things, helping you write like a fluent English speaker. If you ever struggle with writing emails, reports, or even just simple social media posts in English, Grammarly is a must-have. And the best part? It works everywhere. Emails, documents, even chat messages.
Yes. And let's talk about one more amazing tool, Youglish. This is an AI-powered search engine for pronunciation. Have you ever wondered, how do native speakers actually say this word? Instead of just reading a dictionary definition, Youglish finds real-life video examples of how that word is used in conversations. You hear native speakers saying it in context, which is one of the best ways to learn correct pronunciation. And here's another AI trick: speech-to-text tools. Apps like Google's voice typing or Otter.ai allow you to speak into your phone and see how well the AI understands you. If it types your words correctly, your pronunciation is good. If not, you know where you need to improve. This is such an easy way to test your fluency and pronunciation in real time.
That's an amazing tip, Adam. And here's the best part. Most of these AI tools are free or very affordable. You no longer need expensive courses to practice English. With the right combination of AI tools, you can create a personalized English learning experience that works for you. You can practice conversation, improve pronunciation, correct your writing, and even train your listening skills, all from your phone or computer. So, let's break it down for our listeners. If you want to learn English smarter, not harder, here's what you should do. Use ChatGPT to practice conversations and get grammar explanations. Use Duolingo AI for interactive speaking practice. Use Elsa Speak to perfect your pronunciation. Use Grammarly to correct your writing and improve your sentence structure. Use Youglish to hear how native speakers pronounce words. Use speech-to-text tools to check if your pronunciation is clear. These tools can save you hours of frustration and help you progress way faster than traditional methods.
That's such a strong list, Sophia. And for anyone listening who's been struggling to improve their English, now is the time to start using AI to your advantage. Imagine this: if you dedicate just 30 minutes a day to practicing with AI tools, within a few months, you'll sound more confident, more fluent, and more natural in English. And here's our challenge for you. Try using at least one AI tool this week. Whether it's chatting with ChatGPT, testing your pronunciation with Elsa Speak, or getting feedback from Grammarly, pick one and start using it today. Trust me, once you experience how powerful AI learning is, you'll never want to go back to old study methods.
If you're learning English, chances are you've felt this before. You know the words, you understand the grammar, but when it's time to speak, you freeze. Your mind goes blank, your words don't come out smoothly, and you hesitate because you're afraid of making mistakes. Sound familiar? You're not alone. One of the biggest challenges English learners face is speaking confidence. And the truth is, you can't become fluent just by learning grammar and vocabulary. You have to practice speaking consistently. But here's the problem. What if you don't have native speakers around? What if you feel too shy to speak? Does that mean you'll never improve? Absolutely not. The good news is, in 2025, you don't need to live in an English-speaking country or even have a conversation partner to train your speaking skills every single day. Today, we're going to share the best methods for practicing English speaking, so you can go from hesitation to confidence. And trust me, these techniques work even if you're learning alone.
Sophia, you're absolutely right. So many learners think that if they don't have native speakers around, they can't practice speaking, but that's just not true. There are 3 incredibly powerful techniques that will help you train your speaking skills on your own, and they're used by language learners, public speakers, and even professional actors. Let's break them down. The first method is shadowing. This is hands down one of the best ways to improve fluency and pronunciation. Here's how it works. Pick an English video, podcast, or audiobook, and repeat what you hear as fast as possible at the same time as the speaker. Don't pause, don't stop to analyze, just imitate the rhythm, pronunciation, and intonation of the speaker. It might feel difficult at first, but trust me, this is how your brain trains itself to think and speak faster. Start with slow English videos like BBC Learning English or TED Talks. Then, as you get better, challenge yourself with faster, more natural conversations from movies or interviews. After just 1 week of shadowing, you'll notice that speaking starts to feel easier. You won't have to think so much before forming sentences. And in a few months, you'll sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident.
That's such a powerful technique, Adam. And I love that it doesn't require a partner. You can do it anytime, anywhere. But let's talk about another game-changing method, speaking to AI. This is something that wasn't possible 10 years ago, but now it's like having a personal speaking coach in your pocket. There are so many AI chatbots that let you practice English conversations, and they even correct your mistakes. Apps like ChatGPT, TalkPal, and even Google Assistant can simulate real-life conversations and give you instant feedback. And if you don't want to use AI, here's a super effective trick. Record yourself speaking for just 1 minute every day. Pick a random topic, talk about your day, describe something you see, anything. The key is to just speak. And here's the magic. After 1 month, listen back to your first recording. You will hear the improvement. Your pronunciation will be smoother, your sentences will flow better, and you'll sound more confident. I promise, this 1-minute practice can completely change the way you speak English.
Sophia, that's such a great tip. And I want to add one more technique, something that gets you real interaction with real people. That's language exchanges. If you want to practice speaking but don't have native speakers around, guess what? The internet has millions of people learning English just like you. Apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, and Speaky connect you with real English speakers who are learning your native language. So you help them with your language, and they help you with English. It's a win-win. And the best part? You can practice real, natural conversations in a relaxed environment. No pressure, just friendly practice. And trust me, this works. I've seen learners go from being shy and hesitant to speaking with confidence just by practicing 15 minutes a day with a language partner. So here's what we've got. 3 powerful methods to improve your speaking, even if you're learning alone. 1. Shadowing. Repeat after native speakers to improve fluency and pronunciation. 2. Speaking to AI and recording yourself. Simulate conversations and track your progress. 3. Language exchanges. Find real people to practice with on apps like Tandem or HelloTalk.
And now, we have a challenge for our listeners. If you really want to improve your speaking skills, start recording yourself for just 1 minute a day. Talk about your day, describe something around you, or even repeat something you learned. Do this every day for a month, and at the end, listen back to your first recording. You will be shocked at how much progress you've made. Speaking confidence isn't about knowing more words. It's about training your mouth and your brain to produce English naturally. And the only way to do that is by speaking every day. Even if it's just for 1 minute, just start.
Let's be honest. How many times have you tried to memorize a long list of English words only to forget them a week later? If this has happened to you, you're not alone. Most learners think that the more words they memorize, the more fluent they'll become. But that's not how language works. You don't need thousands of random words. You need the right words in the right context. Think about it. Native speakers don't walk around memorizing dictionaries. They learn words by using them in real-life situations, and that's exactly how you should approach vocabulary and grammar, not as separate things, but as tools for real conversations. So today, we're going to show you the smartest way to expand your vocabulary and improve your grammar naturally, so you can actually remember what you learn and use it with confidence.
That's such an important point. So many learners spend hours memorizing lists of advanced words they'll never use in daily life, but then struggle to have a basic conversation. Instead of focusing on how many words you know, focus on learning the words that are actually useful. And there are 3 categories of vocabulary that every learner should prioritize. High-frequency words. These are the words that appear in daily conversations all the time, like actually, probably, definitely, suppose, guess, and already. If you focus on these first, you'll instantly sound more fluent. Phrasal verbs and expressions. Native speakers don't just say continue, they say carry on. They don't say meet by accident, they say run into. If you want to sound natural, you need to learn these common phrases. Grammar in real situations. Stop thinking of grammar as a set of rules you memorize. Instead, learn it inside real conversations. For example, instead of studying the past tense from a textbook, listen to a story in English and notice how past tense verbs are actually used. The more you see grammar in context, the easier it will be to use it correctly. And here's where most learners go wrong. They treat grammar like a school subject instead of a communication tool. Think about it. You probably never studied grammar rules in your native language, yet you speak it fluently. That's because grammar is something you absorb naturally by hearing and using it repeatedly. So instead of spending hours memorizing grammar rules, do this instead. Listen to real conversations, watch interviews, movies, or podcasts, and notice how native speakers structure their sentences. Read short texts or dialogues. Notice how grammar flows naturally in context instead of studying isolated rules. Write a little every day. Even if it's just a few sentences in a journal, it helps reinforce grammar naturally. The more you expose yourself to real English, the more your brain will pick up grammar patterns automatically, just like a native speaker.
Sophia, that's so true. And I want to give our listeners a powerful technique that will make vocabulary stick in their minds: spaced repetition. The reason most people forget new words is that they only see them once. But research shows that if you review a word multiple times over several days, you'll remember it forever. That's where apps like Anki and Quizlet come in. These apps use spaced repetition to show you words at just the right time before you forget them. Here's how to use them. Add 10 new words or phrases every week. Review them daily for just 5 to 10 minutes. Try to use each word in a real sentence during the day. If you do this consistently, instead of memorizing words and forgetting them, you'll slowly build a strong, long-term vocabulary. And the best part? You won't even feel like you're studying. Your brain will naturally absorb the words.
That's such a great tip, Adam. And here's something that will make learning vocabulary even more fun. Connect new words to your real life. If you're learning the word delicious, think about your favorite meal. If you're learning exhausted, think about how you feel after a long day. The more personal the word feels, the easier it is to remember. And let's not forget, speaking is the best way to make new vocabulary stick. Instead of just memorizing words, try to use them in conversation as soon as possible. Even if you don't have a speaking partner, you can. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing or thinking. Use chatbots like ChatGPT. Have a conversation using new words. Write a short text using the new vocabulary. This helps reinforce it. One of the biggest frustrations English learners have is this: I can read English, I understand grammar, but when native speakers talk, I don't get a word they're saying. If you've ever felt like spoken English is way too fast and impossible to follow, trust me, you're not alone. So many learners struggle with this, and today we're going to talk about why it happens and how you can fix it. Think about it. You read a sentence in English, and it makes perfect sense. But when you hear the exact same sentence in conversation, it sounds completely different. Why? Because real spoken English isn't like textbook English. It's full of contractions, connected speech, reductions, and slang. Native speakers don't say, "What are you doing?" They say, "What you doing?" They don't say, "I am going to meet my friend." They say, "I'm going to meet my friend." These small changes completely transform the way English sounds. So, if you're struggling to understand fast English, don't worry. Today, we're going to give you a step-by-step plan to train your ears and finally understand real spoken English like a pro.
Sophia, that's such an important point. So many learners think that they just need to learn more vocabulary to improve their listening, but actually, the problem is that they're not used to hearing how English is really spoken. If you only study English from textbooks or formal lessons, it's no surprise that when you hear native speakers talking naturally, it feels like a completely different language. So, what's the solution? You need to train your ears just like you train your speaking skills. And there are 3 incredibly effective ways to do this. Checkmark. Start with slow podcasts and audiobooks. Then level up. When you listen to a new language, your brain needs time to adjust. Instead of jumping straight into fast conversations, start with clear, slow English, like BBC Learning English, The English We Speak, or beginner audiobooks. Then, gradually move to faster content. If you listen every day, your brain will adapt naturally. Watch movies and series with subtitles on first, then off. This is one of the most powerful listening exercises. First, watch with English subtitles so you can connect the words to the sounds. Then, watch again without subtitles and focus on catching the main meaning. Don't worry about understanding every word, just get the overall idea. This is exactly how babies learn languages, and it works for adults too. Practice dictation. Write down what you hear. This is a powerful trick to train your brain to recognize fast speech. Find a short audio clip, even 10 to 15 seconds, play it, and try to write down exactly what you hear. Then check the transcript. You'll start noticing patterns in pronunciation, contractions, and common phrases.
Those are game-changing techniques, Adam. And let's talk about another reason why people struggle with listening. They try to understand every single word. But here's a secret. Even native speakers don't hear every word when they listen. Instead, they focus on keywords and overall meaning. So instead of stressing about every word, try this. Focus on the key words in the sentence, not every little detail. Predict what's coming next. Use context clues. Relax. If you don't catch everything, that's okay. Keep listening. The goal is not to translate every word in your head. It's to understand the message. The more you listen, the more you'll naturally start recognizing words and phrases. It's like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets.
That's such an important mindset shift, Sophia. And I want to add one more technique that will help our listeners get used to fast English even faster: loop listening. Here's how it works. Choose a short audio clip, 10 to 30 seconds. Listen to it 3 to 5 times in a row without stopping. The first time, you might not understand much. That's okay. The second time, you'll start hearing familiar words. By the third or fourth time, the sentence will feel clearer and more natural. This technique forces your brain to adapt to fast speech quickly. And the more you do this, the easier it will be to understand full conversations. The best part? It only takes a few minutes a day.
I love that. And the best way to make this work is consistency. Even 10 minutes a day of listening practice can make a huge difference. So if you've been struggling to understand fast English, here's what to do. Start with slow English, then level up. Podcasts, audiobooks, and TED Talks are great for this. Watch movies with subtitles on first, then off. Train your brain to follow natural speech. Practice dictation. Write down what you hear. It forces you to pay attention to pronunciation. Use loop listening. Replay short clips multiple times until your brain adjusts. Focus on key words and overall meaning. Don't stress about every little detail. And now we have a challenge for our listeners. Choose one of these techniques and try it today. Whether it's watching a short video without subtitles, listening to a podcast, or practicing dictation, just start. The more you train your ears, the faster your listening skills will improve.
That's a great challenge, Sophia. And remember, understanding fast English isn't about memorizing more words. It's about training your brain to recognize patterns in speech. The more you listen, the easier it gets.
There's a huge difference between someone who knows English and someone who is truly fluent. And do you know what the biggest difference is? Fluent speakers don't just speak in English, they think in English. That's what allows them to speak quickly, confidently, and without hesitation. But for many learners, this is a big challenge. If you find yourself constantly translating in your head before speaking, don't worry. You're not alone. The question is, how do you train your brain to think in English? Most people try to improve their speaking by just speaking more, but what if I told you that one of the best ways to speed up fluency isn't speaking? It's writing. When you write in English, you force your brain to form thoughts directly in English without relying on translation. And the best part? You can practice this anytime, anywhere, without needing a partner.
Sophia, that's so true. Writing is one of the most underrated fluency boosters. When you write, you're not just practicing grammar and vocabulary, you're actually training your brain to organize thoughts in English. Think about it. When you write something, you take time to process your thoughts, structure sentences, and find the right words. This is the same process your brain goes through when you speak. So the more you practice writing, the faster your brain gets at forming sentences, which means less hesitation when you speak. And here's a simple but powerful trick to get started. Write just one sentence in English every day. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just something about your day, your thoughts, or even something you learned. The key is consistency. Over time, your brain will naturally start thinking in English without effort.
That's such a great tip, Adam. And for those wondering how to start writing in English, here are 3 easy ways to practice. Keep an English journal. Every day, write 1 or 2 sentences about what you did, what you're thinking, or even something interesting you learned. If you're stuck, try writing about a specific topic, like your goals, favorite movies, or future plans. Write short messages or social media posts in English. If you use social media, challenge yourself to write your captions or comments in English. Instead of texting in your native language, send a message in English. The more you use English in everyday communication, the more natural it becomes. Use Grammarly or ChatGPT for corrections. One of the biggest fears learners have is making mistakes. But guess what? Mistakes are part of the learning process. Tools like Grammarly can check your writing for grammar errors and suggest improvements. And if you want feedback on your sentences, you can ask ChatGPT to correct your writing and even explain why certain words or phrases work better.
I love those strategies, Sophia. And I want to add one more challenge for our listeners. Try thinking in English throughout your day. Here's how it works. When you wake up, describe your morning routine in English in your mind. When you see something interesting, try to think of how you'd explain it in English. When you feel an emotion, think of the English words to describe it. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. At first, it might feel difficult, but after a few weeks, English will start to feel automatic.
Exactly. And here's a simple mindset shift. Instead of thinking of English as something you study, think of it as something you live. The more you integrate English into your daily life, through writing, thinking, and communication, the faster you'll become fluent. So, let's quickly recap today's key takeaways. Checkmark. Writing helps train your brain to think in English, reducing hesitation when speaking. Start with just 1 sentence a day. Keep it simple but be consistent. Use an English journal, write messages in English, or post on social media. Use tools like Grammarly and ChatGPT to get corrections and improve faster. Challenge yourself to think in English throughout your day. And now, here's our challenge for you. Write a short message in English today. It could be a journal entry, a comment on social media, or even just a sentence describing your day. The key is to just start. The more you write, the faster your brain will adapt to thinking in English.
That's a fantastic challenge. And remember, fluency isn't about how many words you know, it's about how easily your brain processes English. Writing and thinking in English will train your brain to work faster and more naturally.
One of the biggest reasons people quit learning English isn't because they're not capable, or because they don't have time. It's because they don't see progress, or at least they think they're not making progress. And that feeling can be really frustrating. You might feel like you're studying hard, practicing regularly, but when you try to speak, you still struggle. If you've ever felt like this, trust me, you're not alone. Almost every learner experiences this at some point. But here's the truth. Just because you don't notice your progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Learning a language is like getting in shape. If you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you might not see a difference. But if you compare yourself to how you were 6 months ago, the change is obvious. The same thing happens with English. The problem is, most learners don't track their progress properly, so they don't realize how much they've actually improved. And today, we're going to show you how to track your progress in a way that keeps you motivated and moving forward.
Sophia, that's such a great point. So many learners feel stuck simply because they don't measure their growth. Imagine going to the gym without keeping track of your workouts. You might feel like you're not getting stronger, even though you actually are. But if you keep a record of your progress, your weights, your endurance, your energy levels, you see the improvement, and that motivates you to keep going. And that's exactly how we need to approach English learning. If you don't track your progress, it's easy to feel like you're not improving. But if you look back at where you started and compare it to where you are now, you'll be amazed. So let's talk about 3 simple but powerful ways to measure your progress and stay motivated. First, record yourself speaking each month. This is one of the best ways to see your growth. Pick a topic. Record yourself speaking for 1 or 2 minutes and save the recording. Do this every month. And when you listen back, you'll notice huge improvements in your fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. The difference between your first and your 6th recording will surprise you. Second, write down new words you've learned. Vocabulary growth is a huge part of fluency, but we often forget how many words we've added to our knowledge. Keep a small notebook or a note on your phone where you write at least 5 new words or phrases each week. Review them regularly, and after a few months, you'll be amazed at how many more words you know compared to before. Third, celebrate your milestones. Learning a language isn't just about fluency, it's about all the little wins along the way. Your first full conversation in English, your first email without Google Translate, your first movie without subtitles, these are all huge achievements. Write them down, acknowledge them, and celebrate them. They are proof that you're improving, even if it doesn't always feel like it.
I love that, Adam. And celebrating progress is so important because motivation isn't something you just have. It's something you create. The more you recognize your wins, the more motivated you feel to keep going. And here's another great way to stay motivated. Set mini goals. Instead of saying, "Wow, Mom, I want to be fluent," which is too big and vague, break it down into small, achievable goals. For example, I want to learn 10 new phrasal verbs this month. I want to have a 5-minute conversation with a native speaker. I want to write a short paragraph in English every day for a week. When you set clear, achievable goals, you create momentum, and when you accomplish them, you feel more confident and excited to keep learning.
That's such a great strategy, Sophia. And let's talk about something that can completely change the way our listeners feel about learning English: the progress mindset. Too many learners focus on what they can't do instead of what they can do. Instead of saying, "I still make mistakes when I speak," reframe it as, "I can now express myself better than I could 6 months ago." Instead of saying, "I don't understand fast English perfectly," say, "I understand more than I used to, and I'm improving every day." This mindset shift is so powerful because it keeps you motivated instead of discouraged. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about moving forward step by step.
Exactly, Adam. So let's recap the key takeaways from today. Checkmark track your progress, record your speaking, write down new words, and celebrate milestones. Set small, clear goals. This keeps you motivated and helps you see results. Shift your mindset. Focus on what you've improved, not just what you still need to learn. And now, we have a challenge for our listeners. Set a mini goal for the next 30 days. Think about one specific area of English you want to improve. Maybe it's pronunciation, vocabulary, or listening. and commit to working on it for 1 month. Write it down, track your progress, and celebrate your success at the end.
I love that challenge, Sophia. And remember, learning English isn't a straight line. It's a journey. Some days will feel easy, some days will feel hard, but as long as you keep going, you're always improving.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered so much, from setting clear goals and building the perfect study routine to using AI tools, improving your speaking, and tracking your progress. But remember, the key to success isn't just listening, it's taking action.
Absolutely. Learning English is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to fluency. So don't wait. Start applying what you've learned today. Whether it's writing a short journal entry, practicing shadowing, or tracking your progress, small daily actions lead to big results.
And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Also, share this with a friend who's learning English. It might be exactly what they need to stay motivated.
And we'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you're going to apply from today's episode? Let us know in the comments or send us a message. Your progress matters, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode, where we'll dive into even more powerful tips to help you master English faster and with confidence. Until then, keep practicing, stay consistent, and enjoy the journey.